Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. And as I told you in a 2-part series about the riots with us and the GDs, we were locked down for a few weeks. And after the conversation, we had an agreement that everything is squashed and we move on. The agreement was, the SIS told us if we can squash our beef, he was gonna let everybody else back out of the chute. All the homies that got into it, even the homies that got beat up, even some of the homies that jumped on the homies, it had to be a mutual understanding that we're moving forward. And if we gave our word, then that's what it is. So we all parties concerned, agreed that we're gonna squash the beef so all the homies that was in the conflict can come back out on the compound. Also, I think the region was coming through that area during that time. The region is these people that oversees the penitentiary. They come and evaluate the prison. If people's got any complaints or whatever, they can bring it up to them. But really, for me, my personal opinion, it's all BS. No matter how fucked up the prison is, no matter how fucked up the food is, the region is not going to change the way they run things in whatever penitentiary they go to, unless it's just an outright atrocity. But at this time, we have a warden. His name is Matavosin. He became the warden in Atwater. And if there's any federal officers or whatever watching it, they're not going to like this video because I don't think kindly or highly or have any positive opinion of Matavosin. I think he's a cold-blooded bitch. Right now, they made him the assistant administration of the BOP, of the Bureau of Prison. So he's been moving his way up the ladder. He was in Victorville, USP, before he came to Atwater, and they ran his ass out of Victorville because he was trying some bullshit that he was able to implement in Atwater. He wrote a manifesto on how to break the prison population. And this is the thing that, through the course of my time, I was always baffled at how us convicts, us inmates, us prisoners that are confined in these spaces don't understand that we are not the enemy to each other. We are all brothers in the struggle. I don't hold the key that's keeping you from going home. You're not holding the key that's keeping me from going home. It's these motherfuckers with the badges and the suits and the uniform and the guns that are the ones that are doing it. But the system is created to keep us so divided. They always want to tell you, hey, we want everybody to get along, everybody be peaceful and all that. But that's like the left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing. Look over here while I'm doing this over here. They don't want us to get along. They don't want us to coexist. Because when we come together, we're a force to be reckoned with, and it terrifies them. So their way to control us is to keep us at each other's throat. And over again, we fall for it. But it's not even necessarily anything that they're doing. We're just so ignorant ourselves because of our division, because of our racism, because of our bias and our gang affiliation. We do the job for them. So while we're at each other's throat, they're steadily taking things away from us. Matavosin wrote a manifesto about how to break the prison population, how to bring the population to their knees. He said You can't shock their senses. If he comes into the penitentiary and takes everything away from you all at once, your natural reaction is to buck. Now, he hasn't risen up as high as he has in the federal system because he's ignorant or because he's dumb. No, he's a very shrewd individual. He tells you, take a little bit at a time. Start with this and see how they react. If they don't buck on it when you take this from them, take something else. And so on and so forth until by the time they wake up and realize they've been getting fucked raw, it's too late. Everything's gone. They tried to tell me when I was in Florence that they've taken the microwave from every penitentiary in the BOP. I mentioned Florence is because after I left Atwater, I ended up in Florence, and Manifesto's bitch ass ended up over there too. And he took the microwave away from us over there. He took it away from us in Atwater. He tried to do it in Victorville, but there was individuals over there that didn't allow that, and whatever, I don't know all the details, but he got transferred to Atwater. Well, there was people coming from Victorville to Florence while I was in Florence, letting us know that they were still had microwaves over there. So, but his thing when he came into Atwater, he didn't like it when he came on the yard. You know, he does his round. He always walks around with 4 or 5 security dudes around him, other COs and staff, you know, like he's the shit. Well, he walks around the compound, and every day he's on the yard walking around. Whenever he does walk around, he always sees me post up. He always sees my people over there at the table. When the rest of the compound is out at lunch, we're out there on the yard at my poker table having a feast. You know, we got people that's making pizza or whatever they're making. We buy them, they come in, we bring them out to the yard. We have some of these spices that would make tamales or burritos, whatever they're buying, we buy it. Like I told you in the prior videos, is that my area is like the Dubai of Atwater. Anybody that want to sell anything, you're going to find somebody to purchase it over there, especially food. You know, anybody that's been in Atwater with me can tell you, when I eat, all my homies around me eat. I don't go buy one piece of burrito or a tamale or a soda. I take a head count. Who's all over here at the table? Who's over here on the yard? Who's over here kicking it? So somebody comes over with a bag of tamales. Man, how many you got? Let it get it all. But it's not just me that does that. I had a handful of homies that it's not, we don't rotate in buying food or anything like that. It's just that if somebody approaches them and they're the one that happened to have the conversation with whoever's selling whatever they're selling, if they're going to buy some, they're just going to buy enough for everybody that's hanging out. So every time this warden comes through, he always see us chilling on the table. Always seeing us eating. Always seeing us giggling and getting along. And for some reason, he has an issue with that. He wants to see us miserable. He wants to see us at each other's throat. So the first thing he did was take the channels on our TV away. You know, Spike TV, AMC, a couple other ones. You know, we have our programs that really we watch to on our downtime. But when he came, every time there was a movie on FX, yeah, he took FX, AMC, and Spike TV away from us. Every time there was a movie on that was anything above age of 13 to see or rated R, you just see a green screen. So people started complaining to him, hey man, what's wrong with the TV? What's wrong with the TV? He tells them, oh no, I'm giving you guys more channels. We're just working on it. We're gonna give you guys more channels. Well, this motherfucker did give us more channels. He took AMC away, FX, and Spike TV. He took them off the whatever program they got on the television. Then his ass gave us Oxygen, Hallmark Classic, Hallmark Movie, Lifetime Classic, Lifetime Movie. You know, when I called my wife, I said he took all the channels that us men watch and gave us a bunch of vagina stations. I mean, there's no other way for me to put it. The movies on Lifetime, the movies on Hallmark, every episode, you know, the heroine in the movie is a female and the villain is always a guy. Every guy in those series, those movies, are always some douchebag and gets his ass whooped by a girl at the end of the day. I don't have any issues with those channels or what they're trying to portray on those channels. That's their business. They have a clientele, a consumer base for those things. But what I'm just trying to emphasize is that how he played us. Oh, no. We're working on the television and we're giving you guys more channels. You know, right now when you go through the BOP, the questions that they ask you: are you a transgender? Have you been sexually assaulted? Do you feel any type of, like, the questionnaires, because, you know, I haven't been transferred in like 7 years. So after I got transferred out of Atwater, the questions they asked me was all crazy, goofy shit. Like things that don't have anything to do with the penitentiary. You know, I don't know why or what reason they brought all that about. But anyway, going back to manifesto. You know, one day I'm coming out of chow hall. You know, he stands there with his suit and his, you know, do boys in front of the chow hall, waiting to shake us down, pat us down or whatever. So one day I'm coming out of chow hall, going through the metal detector. He tells the CEO next to him, and points me out. It's like, oh, that's the pit boss. You know, I hear him. I don't pay him no mind. I burn off. You know, but I know he's plotting on me because he doesn't like all the stuff that we're doing. But mind you, running my poker table, the homies running the dice game, we never had any issues over it. Nobody that gambled with us, nobody that ever had any type of dealings with us ever got the shit end the stick. We always played fair. So we were able to conduct ourselves in that manner. We were able to be trusted with interacting with different groups and different races and different gangs. But from the warden's perspective, is we're doing too much. So rumor goes around after the riot with the GDs that he's gonna take the tables away from us. So of course, me and my homeboy, we hit him up on the walk. I say, hey, what's up, man? Me and Trig, the homie from Louisiana. I say, hey, what's this we hear about you taking the tables from us? What? Oh, no, I'm not taking no tables from you. Nah, I don't care about the tables. 2 hours later, 3 COs come over there with their cart and their fucking saw and starts fucking hacking the top of the tables off. Now, he don't hack all the tables off every single yard. He didn't do nothing with yard 1. He didn't do nothing with yard 2. The only place that he hacked the top of the tables off of was yard 3, where I ran my poker table, where the homies ran the dice game. And these bitch-ass COs that was cutting it, they're all laughing and goofing. Yeah, what are you gonna do now about your poker table? And I just looked, I said, how miserable are you that you even get any type of satisfaction from this? I mean, look around you. You see there's fences, barbed wires, and gun towers around us. So you know that we're stuck here. And you know the things that we do on a daily basis is just trying to get through the day. Why would you take some type of pleasure in trying to fuck up our program? Of course, he didn't have any answer for that because he's a piece of shit little bitch. but just, you know, found joy in other men's misery. You know, and to the good correctional officers out there, the ones that have always been respectful and courteous and conduct themselves like men, this is not for you, so don't take this offense, you know. But you already know, you work with these individuals, that there's enough piece of shit for me to be able to have it, express my feelings and feel this way about these individuals. So he cuts off the top of the tables. And now, you know, the tables in Atwater, it's got a stump that comes out like this, and then the top of the table, then it's got 4 poles going out of each where the seats are at. So each seat can fit 2 people on each side, you know. So all he left was the seat. So when you go sit on the table, you're sitting on the seat, and you just got a fucking pipe coming up that's chopped off. But he didn't hurt the dice game, because the homies took the dice game to the floor. They just went and fucking put the numbers and shit on the floor and rolled on the ground. But you know, his target wasn't them, because he know the dice can be rolled on the ground. His target was me. But if you guys been keeping up with the videos, I think I'm a little more clever than the average bear, right? So I went and got 2 big ass paint boards. You know, the supersized ones. They're about, I don't know if you can see my hand, but they're pretty big. I went and got 2 of them up. Taped them up together, brought that bitch out. I got some toilet paper roll, you know, it's still in the wrapper, some toilet papers, it's still in the wrapper. Like I said, there's a poles that extends out where the seats are at. You know, I elevated the, I put a couple toilet papers there to elevate, you know, so it has some, damn it. Maybe I'm not smart as the average bear. I forgot the word. So it's some stability, you know. And I laid them two paint boards over the top of it and continue to run my poker table. But now, you know, like the Bisons, they used to run a poker table too, on the table that is right by the basketball court. It's a round table. Well, they're not as clever as me. So all their players didn't have no place to play poker. So when he chopped off the top of the poker table, thinking that he shut down my game, thinking that he shut down my program, it backfired on him. Now my table is full from 7:30 to 3 o'clock with people waiting in line for the next seat. You know, but when we first came out of the lockdown, there was a lot of tension. Even though those of us that had the conversation were in agreement that everything was cool, not everybody was so sure. So for the first week, mind you, we run our games in yard 3. For the first week, from Monday till Friday, there was no black dudes that came on yard 3. No black dude came on yard 3 to run the track. No black dudes came on yard 3 to play basketball. On yard 3, it was just us and the natives and the Mexicans. When we came out, we went to our regular spot, kicked it on the bocce court, chopped it up. But you know, when we came out, we had a little conference amongst the homies. And a lot of them felt some type of way about what happened with Dewey and Lance in 6B, where the blacks jumped them in the block. And I forgot to mention in the last video, while my homeboy was getting jumped, there was a native bro, and I'm sorry I forgot your name, but he jumped in to help the homie, and he got busted up too. But it's all love. You know, I'm sorry again, I forgot your name. But, you know, he played a role in that the homies being able to survive that encounter. But, so when we come out, we had a couple people that, one didn't bust a grape. You know, when the deuces go off, if it's me and I'm not involved in the situation that my homeboy is in, which hasn't happened because every time my homeboy's in a situation, I'm there on the front line every single time. But let's just say I was in a unit and it popped off in the yard and it popped off against the Mexicans or it popped off against the blacks or against the white. I'm going to turn around and hit me one of those people, whoever it is that I see my homeboys getting into, I'm going to turn around and get it in. Now, there was a lot of homies that was in the unit that when the shit happened, that looked out the window, and when the CEOs told them to lock in their cells, they went and locked in their cells. That's fine. I'm not trying to tell you to run out there, you know, head first into the fire. But the problem that I have is after we come off of lockdown, after I and a few other the homies had conversation with these individuals to squash the beef, to move on for it, now they want to insert their 2 cents. Oh, that ain't cool, man. We can't let that shit ride. How are you going to let them just do that to the homie and not retaliate, and so on and so forth? But I told him, like I'm about to tell you right now. I said, hey, when the deuces went off, you had every opportunity to get your hands dirty, but you didn't. So save that shit for somebody else. We've already gave our word to these people, and they gave their words to us that everything is squashed. By you going around feeling the way you feel and voicing it to whoever you voicing it to, is going to cause uncertainty and doubt on the compound. If I start hearing rumors that some group is still in their feelings and is plotting against me, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to go bust a move before they get a chance to. So by these people that didn't bust a grape in the riot, talking about, oh, we shouldn't let this go, we shouldn't let that go, all they're doing is fueling the uncertainty that's already exists amongst the compound. But, you know, the people that's, when they speak in this form, in this manner, it's just, they're in a safe place now. Because they already know I've already made the call. And the reason I made the call that I made, because we had an agreement that we're going to let everybody that was in the shoe back out on the compound. We shook hands with the people that we were beefing with. And everybody was in agreement. But now you got dudes, again, that didn't bust a grape when the shit went off, trying to put in their 2 cents. For me, if you're on the front line, when shit pop off, you can speak whenever you want because you're willing to put your life in the defense of our security. If you're an individual that's willing to put your life for our cause, you can speak and say whatever the fuck you want. But if you're not one of them dudes that's on the front line, if you're not one of them dudes that's putting in work, man, shut the fuck up. Period. That's in every aspect of life. If you're not somebody that's active, not somebody that's doing anything, not somebody that's putting yourself in harm's way, not someone that's risking anything, shut the fuck up. And the problem we have out here in society, just like everywhere else, everybody wants to put in their 2 cents. You know? But we made a deal already. And with the individuals that we made a deal with, we had a conversation amongst men. But like I said, there was just rumors going around. So For the whole week, the blacks didn't come into yard 3. And I noticed it, but I just let it go for a few days. But by Wednesday, Thursday, I went and approached a couple of the GDs that was in my block that had the yard for them, at least for my unit. And I sat them down. I said, hey, man, what's all these whispers going around the compound? Because whispers is harmful. Because if somebody gets paranoid, they might react. I said, you and I already sat down and had this conversation. So what are we doing? He's like, nah, man, it's coming from your guys' side. That's what we're hearing, that you guys didn't like whatever happened over there in 6B. And we're worried that you guys are going to make the move. Long story short, as far as that conversation is concerned, I gave him my word. I said, listen, this is what it is. We agreed to it. If any of my homeboys breach that contract that we just made, I promise you, we'll deal with it. And vice versa. So come Friday in the morning, on Fridays, all the Sereños are on the basketball court in yard 3 working out. They fill up the whole basketball court and some. But after they work out, after they were finished, they walked through the gate to go to yard 1 to go do whatever they were doing. But they had to walk across yard 2 to get to yard 1, the softball field, to do whatever they were doing. Sometimes they have activities or whatever. But at this time, all the blacks were congregated in yard 2. None of them came over to yard 3. And they were piled up in front of the basketball court on the west side and on the east side. And on the east side basketball court, in yard 2, was where all the GDs and the vice lords was at. Because at this time when we came off of lockdown, everybody kept a tight circle because there was uncertainty on the compound. So when they seen the Sereños exit yard 3 to walk across yard 2, all the blacks got off their seat, stopped playing basketball, stopped doing what they were doing, and they were in like a ready posture because they were thinking that the Sereños and us were going over there to bust a move on them. But the Sereños just walked by, they went to the handball court, went to the softball field. And I think at that time, the blacks on the compound realized that, hey, it is cool. These guys are keeping their word and we can move on. So, but this whole time, this whole week, I didn't allow any of my homies to run any games. We didn't run no dice game. We didn't run any poker. We just stayed ready because, even though you had a conversation and for the most part, 99%, you could trust that word, I can never control every individual in my car, just like they can never control every individual in their car to toe the line. But after the Friday morning, they realized, hey, we're good. So when we came out for lunch, I told my homeboy, go ahead, man, open up the game and let's play. And at lunchtime, like I said, I brought out them 2 paint boards, put it on top of the table, ran my poker game. The homies ran their dice game, and we moved on from it. Some people might question how you can get into something and then be cool again. Well, one, there's no place for us to go. We're stuck in a box and we're forced to coexist. We're either going to coexist or we're going to just bump head until one of us or all of us is dead. But we also understand that when things happen, everybody goes to their corner and do their duty. For me, I respect that. I know we're cool, but I know you're from this gang. I know you're from this race. So if something happens, I expect you to do your part for your people, for your hood, just like I'm going to do my part for my people. And after the smoke clears, if it's something that we can move on from, then we move on. If it's not, then we funk. So it's nothing personal. You know, some people don't understand that. How can I sit here with somebody and smoke with somebody when we just got in a ride with them? Because on Friday after lunch, when the game was open, you know, at my poker table, I have a lighting kit. And I have batteries, things to light a flame with, and rolling papers that I made out of, paper towels and coffee and shit. And I cut them all in a little strip because people are always trying to smoke chew or smoke tobacco or weed or whatever they're doing. But they know, and I got a little scissors on a string. I had to tie it on a string because the other pair of scissors I brought out, it disappeared. So the second pair, I tied it on a string and tied it to the table. But everybody, you know, during the move, when the move is closed, they close the gate between yard 2 and 3 and 2 and 1. But when they open a 10-minute move, they come pop those gates so people can go into different yards. So when they pop those gates in between moves, people that are on yard 1 or yard 2 would come to get a light from me. I mean, I just leave it there. It's serve itself, you know, serve yourself. But this particular time, once we opened the yard back up, a couple GDs that was in my block, and they don't gamble. You know, I never see them. I see them in the block, and they're always playing basketball or chopping up with their homies, whatever they're doing. They never came to my table prior to this. You know, there's GDs that play cards with me and shoot dice, but these two individuals that were respected, you know, in the organization, they did their own thing for the most part. But when we opened up the gate, they came over, rolled up a cigarette, came over and got my kit, rolled up a cigarette, lit it up, and shared it with me. And it was just like a peace, you know, a peace offering. Like, hey, yeah, we got into it. It's over. We're all men. We're moving on. And that's how men conduct themselves. You know, once you give your word about something, you hold to it. You shake my hand, agree upon something, that's what it is. You know, a lot of people see us not in the same light as them because we're criminals or because we're felons or because we're convicts. But like I've said before, man, and I'm not speaking for everybody, I'm just speaking for myself and individuals like me. And there is a lot of us. You know, men that have standards. We don't violate kids. We don't violate women. We don't tell on people. Welcome to the USP.